Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Harmonics. Today's guest, legendary in my mind, will be legendary. Beautiful family. I got the Curtis C Note family here today, and when I say I got the family here, you can see what I got. You know, it's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that they're here. They're going to talk about their story. I'm going to talk about how they got here, how they're doing it with their mom and dad, and this is Mama C. This is Papa C, who is really, and Papa C, can you introduce your children to us?
Well, we have Zahara C, who's the eldest. We have Nile C, who's the second eldest. We have Isis C. We have, who's the middle child. And then we have Kyra C, or Kiki C.
Kiki.
And then we have Phoenix C.
Phoenix the Rising, man. It's a beautiful thing. So, you guys are all musical. How did that come about, Mom? How did that all come about? How did that start? I know it's with the Maestro. How did it actually all start?
Well, with the children, we didn't think that we'd push music on them. Mm-hmm. We just, you know, if it chose them, it chose them. If not, you know, we weren't going to push it.
Yes.
And one evening we went to Papa Pete Escovedo's birthday party at Yoshi's in Oakland. Mm-hmm. And we were all talking afterwards, and he was like, "Oh, so how are the children?" We were like, "Oh, they're really good." And he was like, "So they're into music, right?" And we were like, "Oh, no, I don't think so." And then he was like, "Why not? How do you think I kept an eye on Juan and Peter Michael and Sheila?" Mm-hmm. And when especially Sheila, as beautiful as we know she is, and I was like, oh, light bulb. And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, we started gently like, hey, you know, sit at the instruments, pick out notes, pick out, you know, if they hear melodies, we encourage them that way. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, we'll get them into music. Mm-hmm. We'll know what they're doing.
But there is a backstory.
But there is one before that came short. That was after that. So as they were, you know, because we always had all of the instruments in the house. Wow. Because Maestro would have his several ensembles rehearse.
Interesting.
There. So we had drums, we had guitars, basses, we had everything there.
Everything.
And so one day we were sitting in a conference call for work, and we were in our back room. And Maestro's like, geez, they're playing that music really loudly. And we were like, oh, yeah, why are they so loud? That they need to turn down we were like, what, the radio or whatever.
So turn that music down.
Yeah,
it's
so
too loud.
I opened the door and I realized, wait, and I walk into our living room and they were playing. They were playing White Rabbit.
Oh,
and
good
I heard Nile dun 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 dun. I was like, wait, he picked that out, and we know that they had been playing, but they were playing this song, and then Maestro was just like he didn't verbally tell me, but he always said ever since that moment he knew he was done with his other ensembles. He was like, I got my band.
No. You've been in enough bands to know what I'm talking about,
yeah, right? Exactly.
And the light bulb just went boom. And I said, this is it.
This is it.
So he started tapering off, you know, when certain contractual obligations were done, he would taper off. And then he just stopped, you know, calling the other musicians and
well, I let them know what was going on.
Yeah, and they were supportive, though, because they were just like, oh, you're getting your children into this? That's amazing. And, you know, they were helping with providing instruments. Yes. We know that's not cheap.
And they even came in and, you know, I'd call on them and I'd say, hey, man, I need you to come in. and help him with his chops.
Yeah.
Give him some stuff to work on. In the beginning, I actually started teaching all of them, you know, even like on drums, bass, guitar.
Well, he plays everything.
Piano and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? They need to hear from specialists in those areas, you know. My forte is really piano, voice, and guitar. But I'll play anything you put in my hands. I mean, that's any musician could actually do that. You know what I mean? But it was a concerted effort with our community. Great musicians and good support system from godparents.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, Juan Escovedo is Isis's goddaddy, and he will come over and give her some lessons on the congas, and yeah, godparents have been amazing. So thank you, godparents.
Yeah, thank you. Renee Escovedo's come on our show also. He was one of my first back in the when we first met, because we've been doing now, this is our 11th year.
Oh, congratulations. That's major.
You know, so, well, thank you. I'm going to clap back to you, too. You know, so Maestro, when you started this, and I'm going to come back to you, too, and I'm going to go with the children, too. How when you knew that this was going to be your group, how did you start? You heard them play. Was it a fuss to get them to do it, or they just did it on their own? Like she said, she opened the door and they're playing White Rabbit.
You know, there was nothing hard about this because the music that they enjoyed was the music that you and I grew up on.
Exactly.
The golden age of music.
Amen.
And it didn't matter if they were black, white, green, or gray.
Exactly.
The music was music.
Right.
You know, and so that's all they gravitated towards. And we played this stuff, and they were on YouTube and all these other different places just exploring music. In fact, they really didn't like anything that was being played on the radio.
Interesting.
And we went off, because my wife and I, we used to do a speakeasy act where I'd play stride piano and some of the old turn of the century stuff.
Exactly.
And she was the vocalist.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, and
I heard it.
We were doing Bessie
Beautiful.
Smith, we were doing Ma Rainey, we were doing Sophie Tucker. I mean, we go way back.
That's what I'm saying. You guys have a spectrum of music. You can see it and you can feel it even with your kids now.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty interesting. So when you guys, I'm going to ask Zahara, what was the first instrument that you touched? What your dad either gave to you or you gravitated towards?
I think for me, because before we started playing as a band, the school I used to go to, I played viola for like 3 years or so, and then after that, I was still in school, so they had like this ukulele class that I would go to, and was my thing that I enjoyed. I went to the talent shows and did that for a while until that all came to a stop. And then I kind of just upgraded to playing the guitar, and that just happened to be my main instrument. Guitar, and then I went to the violin instead of the viola. So yeah, those happen to be my two main instruments.
So when you play, you're playing electric guitar, because that's what I've seen you in.
Electric and classical.
Oh, you play also classicals. You play actually acoustic guitar.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, a finger pick also? Or
with
just
or
beginning?
without. I like doing it without as well.
That's good. So your guitar, what is your instrument as far as the make? What are you playing on? What are you playing on a Strat or?
I'm playing on a Stratocaster. I also have an Ibanez as well, but I had to stop playing that because the neck was too wide and I was getting injuries, so I'm gonna have to get like a
smaller neck.
Yeah,
a smaller neck.
Smaller.
So how often do you practice at home? And what do you like? What do you listen to? When you're, well, obviously you guys are like a radio station, really, to tell you the truth. So what do you practice? When you practice, do you guys practice separately or as a band, or how do you keep your skill going? Like, know where your fretboard is, know where your notes are. How do you do that?
We do sectional rehearsals. So sometimes, because me and my brother, we kind of like share the same room, so we'll have a little session together where we're playing our instruments, and then we'll have it where Nile and Isis, the bass and the drums, where they just go and rehearse by themselves, just locking in with the music. And then we all come together to do a mass rehearsal. And yeah, that's pretty much how like we've been doing it for, was it like 2 years since we've been a band?
I guess going three.
Three.
Going on 3.
You're absolutely amazing, and as a person who's up front, you just elude the love that you have for music and the love that you have for your bandmates, who are your family, which is even better, right? So I'm going to move on, and we'll get back to you a little later too.
Yes, sir.
Isis. So hi, it's a pleasure to have you here today. So let me ask you this. Now you play drums, is it?
Yep.
So you did a breakdown, man. It actually made me fall off my chair when you guys just broke it down, and it just and then Niles came in with his thing, but you got a really good tone, and I like how you do it, and the hi-hat is so special, and you remind me of a lot of great drummers who just play a certain groove from, like, say, the old jazz guys that that I was lucky to see before they passed when I was a kid. But you remind me of Charlie Watts, Ringo Starr. You really,
that's
you just, Mitch Mitchell. I could look at you and see all kinds of different things in you. Just by that one little breakdown, I just said, man, I fell out.
The solos on Stay, when everyone took solos.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Oh, it was that. I think
Yeah.
it was that.
So how did you gravitate to the drums?
I just started playing it.
Yeah.
Like literally, the drums were literally just there. It just looked interesting to me. They were like, "Oh, look at these!" So, but the what is it? The throne. The throne was too big, so I had to use my tippy toes, so I could barely play. But it was really fun to me. It was. I had like a great time with the instrument.
Oh, and so how do you practice? Like Zahara, do you guys gravitate, or do you practice sometimes just by yourself? Just you?
I practice sometimes by myself. I warm up. I do some paradiddles, and then I practice some songs that I want to learn, and the ones we need to learn for like our Monday Music Lives.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Of course.
Yeah, that's how.
She might as well be the interviewer, right? Do you remember those, Gregory? Of course I do. Yeah. So you really, for me, and has a brother that is a drummer and is a class act. You remind me of that just that steady beat. You're in the pocket, as we'd say, man. Or you're in the groove, or something like this. I got to meet Louis Bellson, one of the greatest, and I got to talk to Louis. We bumped into each other. We're both walking backwards like this, and we bump in.
Oh my gosh.
And Louis, I go I turned around, I go, Mr. Bellson. He goes, please, Lewis. And I go, and we talked about music, and my brother was off on the other side. He was talking to somebody else, some other drummer, and I talked to him for an hour. Your feeling when I'm watching you, I want you to know this, it feels that way.
Aww.
It feels that way. You have a groove that never let it go, because before the voice, if you go back in ancient times when we all...
Drum.
It was the drum. First it's the voice, you call it, oh! It's like, when people were field hollers. You know how blues all started, the birth of all of that. You have that groove. You really have that groove, and you're special. I'm just letting you know. Thank you,
That's
man.
beautiful.
Thank you.
That is such a compliment.
It is. You have it. You have what it. You have it. All of you have it. That's what's so special about you. And it's your parents. And so Nile, man, I dig you too, man. You got that little fretboard going, man. I see you back there grooving. Tell me about how you gravitated to the bass and other things, but how did you do that?
So I did not actually want to play bass at first. I asked my dad, like, hey, do I have a saxophone? Because I really like the horns, and like the
There you go,
goldenness of
yeah.
it, like,
The
I really dig that.
goldenness.
Remember, you went through a horn phase, like you had.
Yeah.
He did. I remember that. He did.
Yeah, see, so you can inject. I want you guys to inject like that when he's talking, so you guys can tell. So you wanted to play sax?
Yeah, I wanted to play sax, but he gave me the bass instead.
Stuck me with the bass.
But I really ended up enjoying it. I learned a lot, and about other bass players too.
So that's another thing. So when I watch you play, so you did a groove on one of Larry Graham's things, you know, the Graham Central Station. And you know David Vega was in that band also, right? David was a good friend of mine. So what's interesting, God bless him, the thing here is when you came in that group, boom, boom, right? You just were right in it, right? I mean, you just were right in, and you know, that's, all of you were. And I was just going like, this is amazing. Mom's packing in the background somewhere. I seen her. Your dad's doing his thing. Then he starts playing on the keyboard with his arms. I was going, what happened there, man? And he's
Dance to the music.
We put that on as our best
That was
live
because-
music Monday.
Yeah, that was our
thing
favorite
ever.
because the keyboard, the stand just
Fell.
gave out and the keyboard crashed.
Right.
And what was awesome was nobody stopped playing.
That's right.
And that's why I was so happy. And then he
Oh my
he
God.
turns it into a keytar, but it wasn't a keytar. And then he starts playing with his
Yeah,
phone.
We always
I
make
did
a joke. We
this-
just
then
tell
we
our
did
dad
that
we
just to
do
make
this
fun of
every
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
this is our
That was a
signal.
moment thing where they all got to watch you doing whatever you were trying to do,
Yeah,
right?
it was awesome. So if we're ever in
Oh
public
my
and
God.
we're trying to make fun of him, like even if he's doing a serious like interview or a class, we'll
Yeah.
just go up behind him and be like,
Oh.
and see him try not to laugh.
That's the running joke.
I caught that. I really caught that. I want to go back to Nile. Nile, you got a special groove. You look like a bass player.
Right?
You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
show 'em
your
your hands.
whole attitude.
Those-
has
those
that,
are
yeah.
bass
And your
fingers.
clothes that you wear, all of you are beautiful. But your clothes and you're just like, you have that form. So you remind me of somebody, bass players that I've seen. You know, and you don't have to always play all this, you know, how people do when, you know, my cousin and all those, when they're doing progressions, hard progressions, you know, fusion. Man, you could stay with just the root in the fifth, third, move around, maybe hit the octave once in a while, but you have a groove about you. You remind me of Bill Wyman of the Stones, and also who plays with the Stones right now. I can't remember his name, the bass player. You have that group. Plus, I like when you guys do funk, old school funk. There ain't nothing better, right? Your dad said it earlier. We lived in a golden era. It needs to come back. It needs to come back. But you just have that. You just look like a bass player, man. You know,
Look at his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Show me your
you know, and
hands,
that's
yeah.
another thing, right?
He's got big
You know, I mean, it's just a natural. You could wrap it around, man.
Yeah, he can. He really
Do you play
can.
upright too, or have started that yet? Or
I played it at first, I guess.
I started
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you.
Well, Nile
I have a
wakes up.
fretless like electric bass at home too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the tough.
He's got 7 or 8 basses.
How many's on?
6.
8.
It's 6.
No, it's 7.
Seven. Yeah, 7. Well, that's the bass is his another appendage. He wakes up. I'll wake up sometimes 5
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what is that? And it's like the bass, and I'm like, oh, I
He's
can't tell him to
always
stop.
practicing.
It's like that would be horrible if I'm like, stop it over there. But
it
no,
would be.
it's always any free time he has. He's on.
He
you hear him
practices
play.
the most out of everyone.
And when he first got his the portable.
The little lamp.
Wireless.
The wireless.
It's the
yeah.
wireless.
He played a
Wireless
trick
board.
on us, and we were like, "Why is?" And we were all in the living room, and we hear the bass, and we're like, "What where's Nile? And then he walks in.
Yeah.
He walks in playing. But yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
That's
Nile's
great.
awesome.
So you two are the rhythm section. Look at the rhythm section stays together. Look at that. Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing because you really, like I said, when she slammed that on the hi-hat, I mean, not on the hi-hat, excuse me, on the snare, and you guys all dropped down, I said, oh, mercy. I love stuff like that because when people don't do it as much as they should, but when you guys did it, keep it up. Keep it up, you two, man.
Well, Papa C drills.
See?
And he's like, Bill, it's like, the other night you were just like, come on guys, lock. And he was like, funk is who you are. It's a culture. It's not just
Thank
music. You got to hit it hard.
Yeah.
And then Nile's fingers, he was like, I'm getting tired. He was like, no, that's who we are, man. We get down. And it was awesome. I got it on tape too.
Dad.
Yeah.
Dad. Papa. Phoenix, tell me what you play.
My main instrument is the piano, but I also play bass, guitar, violin, and the ukulele.
Ukulele too, huh? And so in the band you're playing just keyboards, am I correct?
And bass.
And bass.
Yeah.
Move over
I switch
now.
off.
That'd even be better to have two bass players too. You could do that too.
Earth,
Yeah.
Wind, and Fire
Interesting.
used to do that.
Well, they played both when Isis sang lead on, what's that Michael Jackson song?
I Can't
Oh yeah,
I can't help
I
it.
had to do
He was
drums.
holding down, Zah was on drums. He was doing
playing
chords and she was
Yes,
playing
my
lead.
goodness.
So we're working on this thing because
Multi-talented.
everyone plays everything. So we're kind of like, hey, we'll be like a family version of Switch. So we have a few songs, we'll stop and then rotate.
That's great.
Yeah.
Phoenix, tell me about your life and how you started. What gravitated you to all your instruments? Man, that's like 5 instruments. Oh my goodness.
So at first, I just got on the piano, and then once I did, my dad started teaching me, and I think the first song I've ever learned, what was that song called?
White Rabbit?
No, it wasn't White Rabbit. It was
White Rabbit.
No, when she played by herself.
That's
Yeah, I remember that. You were
I knew you were playing that over and over.
Yeah.
The Village Project she was
3
playing.
years
Yeah,
old.
she
And
was
all the
3 years
teens were
old.
like, wow.
And then
Wow.
after
Yeah.
that, it was White Rabbit, and then after that, it was.
Well, Right Rabbit, you learned on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you practice too, and you like the whole situation, how you're playing and everything?
Yes.
What do you want to aspire to? To be a musician, a professional musician, or?
They're all interested in physics.
Yeah.
Ooh.
My interest for physics is astrophysics because I love the universe. And
Beautiful.
there's this the board game that we have. It's basically a matching game, but when you match, you get this like book thing, and you read like the facts about it, and
I
that's
love doing
like
that,
my
yes.
favorite one.
Yeah.
So you're the one that actually did that little smile that I love. I love when musicians just make faces. Sometimes musicians make, it's like, I remember when Eddie Van Halen said that we look like fishes when they're going, and then, but I like the expressions that you made. I love the little smile that you did. You're playing keys and all of a sudden the camera kind of panned over to you and you went like this. I said, yeah, that's my girl. That's good. That's great. It shows a personality because you don't want to just be stiff. It's just like, look how your presentation today is. Of somebody, you seen what the lady I was talking to earlier, right? She says, man, what a beautiful family you got. I go, they're my family that I know now. But I said, they're just here. They go, look how they're dressed, right? And she's a union rep, and she loves music. She loves voodoo music that we do. So, but thank you so much, and we're going to come back to you too. We want to find some other things. So now I have Kiki. Kiki means I call my wife Kiki. It means love in Hawaiian. So, so Kiki, it seems like I've known you for a long time because I always say to my wife, Kiki! So tell me what your instrument, what you gravitated to.
When I was younger, I don't really remember why I gravitated toward the guitar, but I'm actually glad I did because there's not a lot of left-handed guitar players, and like
I'm a lefty. No, I seen you, I was all happy.
yeah, especially when they're like
I'm a
a
lefty.
female. Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
And what kind of, so you have two girls that play. Oh my goodness. Do you guys ever go back and forth? together when you're playing, or you just play chords, or
Well, one plays rhythm and the
Yeah.
other will play
who plays lead?
They'll
Was it
switch.
you, right?
They switch off.
Switch. So
Oh.
if I need to do rhythm, I'll do it. If she needs to,
Yeah.
we'll
And I named her Wawa.
Kiki
Oh,
Wawa.
because she likes
Yeah.
Lady Wawa.
that's her main thing.
Oh, so let me. Oh, great, excellent. The first time I actually heard of Wawa, really, when I seen Jimi Hendrix. Why don't you hear it when you really listen to Jimmy, as we all know? Are you kidding me? The first time I heard Jimi Hendrix, I was just a little kid, man. I was going like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Where did he get his sound? Because they used to call him marbles in New York City. My friend who I played with years later, Jules Pelligari, who came from Budapest. Are you ready for this? As close as I am to you right now, they used to go to in the club that Jimmy used to play, and Jimmy used to give him lessons, just hanging out with
Oh,
him.
that's awesome.
You know, so he sounded like Jimmy when he came in, when we played together years later. But Jimmy is, if you're playing wah-wah, just listen to him. Just listen
yeah.
to him. I'm sure you do. And you're a
Yeah.
lefty, huh? So what kind of guitar do you have?
I have a guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a Stratocaster as well.
Oh, yeah, Strat. And your controls are, what do you match it up to? You got your distortions and stuff, Pop?
We're actually shopping now because she's
Yeah.
got her board,
Yeah. I have a regular.
and now I wanted to wait until I saw where her niche was. She loves the wah-wah, so I'm going to get her a guitar board probably this week.
You want a Crybaby, or are you going to use a Crybaby, a small little one?
She uses a crybaby.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
there
oh,
you
yeah,
go.
that's
So there it is. So I'm going to come back to Papa. Man, your life is pretty illustrated. You're a pretty interesting man. Don't ever
Yes.
don't ever mess with this man, because he knows Bruce Lee himself. But you're pretty interesting. You have many degrees. You went to Grambling. What an interesting time. So, as a person that
In the
has gone
70s.
in the 70s, so a person that has gone through so much and has such a beautiful, man, you have been blessed.
That's not even a word.
Let's
not
go
even a
triple
word.
blessed. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to describe that. It's people use metaphors and they use language, but you can't describe it. Every day I wake up as a dream. Some people wake up to nightmares, but I'm well over 60, in my mid 60s, and it's like I wake up.
You still look good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, got the brim going, man. We even Chad and I, when we see him, we go, look at him. When you walk in, I said, that's him right there. That's Papa C. I go, look at his brim, right? And me and Chad were both kind of like, yeah, that's him. I'm gonna take off my mask because his mask looks, he got his mask off. But, so you wake up every day grateful.
Yeah, music is going on in our home 24/7. It really is. Music in every crook and nanny in the house.
Nothing.
I was there.
I was gonna say he had his nanny there.
Yeah.
We ain't got no nannies.
That's okay.
That I know
Nook
of.
and cranny.
Thank you. He's on TV.
Every nook.
Had to process what he was saying.
Every nook. And our home is filled with so much love, so it's just unbelievable. And people don't even believe we are who we are, because we're community activists.
Amen.
We're always out in the
street.
community. Yeah, we're always out in the community helping our homeless, with our senior community. And we work a lot with our local politicians to try to do our part in the community. And that is the grounding part of what my wife and I wanted to give to our children, is that understanding that you have a stewardship and a responsibility to humanity. And so within that, it carries over into the music. And it's like, I don't have to tell them to practice. I don't have to say, go get your instrument. They're amazing. And they're sponges. I'll put them on a song. There have been many times on our live Well, they'll learn a song half hour before.
Yeah, and we changed sets.
And we split up.
Yeah.
Split. Throw that on.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, most of our lives were when we just like changed a song last minute because we weren't feeling it.
Just throw it on the TV and
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what happened when Phoenix was, like, we didn't even know Phoenix was going to play a song, and it was Get Down, Boogie, Oogie, Oogie. I walk in, and I was like, okay, let's set up, and Phoenix is like, dun, 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 dun. I was like, ew, excuse me, okay, everybody.
And I think what makes us so unique is my children all read music as well.
Oh, that's even better.
So they
So
hear
they could
and they
they could
read.
hear it and they
Yeah.
could read it. So do you bring out charts to them, or they just sometimes you can learn
I don't even have to do that.
they already have it. They already got their ears in tune.
Yeah.
You know, I remember in college when I had the opportunity and was blessed to have played with the Duke Ellington Orchestra and Count Basie. And then I remember people saying, well, you know, they don't even read music. And I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They couldn't have played it if they didn't read it. And then I told them, I said, you know, after you play a song 1,000 times, why do you need to? That's all for show.
Right.
That's all cosmetics. That and in case they lose their place or want to reference it, when I get to the A section or the B section.
Right.
But those guys have played those songs 1,000 times. So it's the same here. It's like we'll go over a chart. We've never really hardly had to go over a chart.
No.
Yeah.
And then sometimes
Wow.
they'll, like, Niall will be like, oh, that's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
this script,
come
this
on.
script.
My dad,
See, and that's the bottom talking right
Yeah,
there.
no, I'll be like, that's wrong. No, let's.
and my dad has always emphasized, like, when you read a piece of music, that when you're playing it, you don't have to play it exactly the same way. Play from the heart. It's
From
not
your
all
soul.
robotic where you have to play from that specific piece of music. Because music is all
Yeah.
from the heart, and when you're just doing it, just like
That's what.
How
But I
it
do
is,
teach
it's
them
not gonna be
advanced
right.
concepts because I teach, you know, orchestration, arranging, and those kinds of things. So they all have their advanced theory books by Alfreds, and you know, all the advanced composition aspects of music is what I really emphasize with them.
So, Maestro, is there certain keys that they play on, or do they play all
They
the
play
keys?
any key.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So that you just know. They know. They
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, while you were growing up, and you gravitated because you have a distinguished career in many different things, what gravitated you to music, and where did you get your beginnings, and how did you do it?
God.
It's a long time. We'll give them 10 minutes.
We'll have the calendar.
Yeah.
Cut to the calendar and the pages.
So
fly.
who put you into the musical box of freedom? Really,
Well,
that's what music is.
I
to
think
me.
it happened almost the same way. My uncle, Cy, was co-writer with Nat Cole on Nat's label.
You heard it.
My mother was one of the featured vocalists during civil rights when Dr. King would come to town. So we were active in civil rights. My mother was one of the featured vocalists in the Bayou in Louisiana. And then when we came out here, she was one of the featured soloists in the Bay Area. And she ended up winning a talent show, a Mahatma Rice talent show, to do the Rice-A-Roni commercial. So she ended up being one of the voices of the Rice-A-Roni.
Yeah, exactly. San Francisco treat. Yeah.
So they had 3 or 4 voices, but they used my mother's most of the time. So it's Archie Bell and the Drells on one side, Donny Hathaway on another side, So the music's on both sides of my family. So it was just a natural order of things. I grew up, I'm from Louisiana. My grandfather, my grandparents made my mother go back to school. She went to Grambling. And so we couldn't play jazz or blues around the house. We'd sneak and do that.
I can understand.
But when I'd go to visit my dad's family from southern Louisiana, which is where I'm from, I could play anything I wanted. I would listen to everything from Louis Armstrong. I even got a chance to meet him as a boy. But it was that was where the magic was.
That is the magic.
On the other side, we were doing, you could do, she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. You know, because we were very religious.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. He was the first person I ever seen. My father was a trumpet player, and it was in Disneyland.
Wow.
And my dad sat me in front, in my brother and I, and he sat us down. He goes, "You're going to watch this." And of course, we wanted to go do the rides. He goes, "You're going to see this. You have to see this man."
Wow.
So when he came out, you know, there's Louis Armstrong, right? I didn't know Louis Armstrong, but my dad and mom knew. We sat there. What was amazing about Louis, when I knew he was special right when he hit the horn. I said, "Who is this guy?" I was like about 7, and it was his whole demeanor just filled me up.
Right.
But he had, you know, he used to wear he'd be sweating his notes.
Oh, yeah.
To see Louis Armstrong live, and your dad had to meet him.
Yeah.
I just watched him. Very, very. It's like a revival. Your heart, you know that this guy's special because they could never degrade him because he had it way before everybody else did.
Yep,
He was such a
yes,
great
he
one.
did.
So your main instrument then is piano.
Well, piano,
Guitar.
guitar, and it used to be saxophone. And then, but I would be playing now. Just got to get some teeth work done because I got kicked in the mouth in a sparring match, and it's got a couple of teeth loose, so I can't. My armature is a
Yeah,
little
you blow
off.
your tooth out into the horn.
Yeah. So, which I'm going to get that corrected in a couple months.
Were you
or
sparring
so.
with your black belt and all that and stuff?
Oh yeah, we were at it. We went 70%. We normally go 30%, but this particular day we really wanted to work on some stuff that my Shihan had created a new system, and we wanted to make sure that we were working on some of the mixed martial arts stuff that we were doing. And when I turned back around, it was right there, bap, right in the mouth.
Wow.
So, but my love is martial arts and music and education.
You could tell that how your children present themselves and how they. I mean, really, you all look like models. You know, you could all be models. And you know, for me personally, watching you on America Got Talent, right? That must have been pretty interesting to be in front of, you know, the judges, right? That was kind of interesting to see that, and then you know the emotionalness that you had was beautiful. But to who was Simon? Simon, I always want to punch Simon in the nose, man. That's just me, okay? But I always want to. He's such a. But you know, I mean, I'd rather look at Heidi. You know,
Heidi,
you know,
yeah, she's awesome.
and the other lady that's there, you know, there used to be,
Sophia.
Sophia. And the other guy, he could go away, Harvey, or whatever he is. But you guys just shined on that. I mean,
my God.
so that was an audition. Was that an audition, or was that on the show?
That was the show. So what's interesting about it
Oh,
is
he's talking about the live show?
yeah, no. He's talking about our audition on AGT.
Oh, okay.
So what was funny is that they reached us via DMs on Instagram.
through our Monday Night Live.
Well, no, but
That's
let
how
me
they
tell the
seen you?
story. Yeah, so they saw us from our live streams.
Yeah.
And her name was Renee Massey. Hi,
Hey,
Renee.
Renee.
We'll send this to her.
Yeah.
But we didn't know if it was real because it was a message via Instagram. So I was like, wait, people have to stand in
It was
line.
pretty suspicious.
Yeah, so we were like, nah, we're not gonna call back. So then she found we have a business line via our website, and she called, and so we decided to talk to her. And while we were on the phone, we were Googling her name, and we're like, is she a real person? And like, does she work for the show? Because like you never know.
Yeah.
And so she checked out, and she was great. And so she was like, oh, have you ever thought of doing the show? And we're like, we don't watch your show. He kept calling it American Idol and TAG instead of AGT. And she was like, tag? And he was like, yeah, and you know, your show. And she was like, oh, AGT.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the children weren't really starstruck. We don't
Yeah,
get
you can
starstruck.
tell you're exactly.
Yeah,
Because
it
you know
was-
you're the stars. That's what you think.
Oh,
you're
no.
the star.
Well, we actually turned them down the first time.
Yeah, we said no because they wanted us to do top 40. And so Maestro sent a nice, lovely, diplomatic response via email like, hey, you know, we might not be a good fit, but you know, we love you guys. Thank you for treating us well. And then, they called us back and they made it happen where they got us out there. We stayed there. It was a lot of fun. They let us do whatever we wanted, which was great, because the song choice is very important.
Yes.
And Maestro, we always TO it to Papa C in terms of music, because it's kind of like, oh, you have Neil deGrasse Tyson and you want to do astrophysics, and it's like, why wouldn't you TO it to the Neil deGrasse of music that I call my husband? So, and what's funny is that when the show's producers asked, well, maybe the children can pick some things. And so Zahara was like, great, we'll do Donald Byrd. And then they were like,
He is my
who?
favorite. That's my favorite artist.
Yeah, she
ever.
loves
Donald Byrd.
She loves Donald Byrd. And then they were like,
The
oh, okay,
greatest.
well,
Amen.
and then they were like, well, Nile, what should we do? And he was like, maybe some Thundercat. And they were like, who? The cartoon? And we were like, no. And Nile was like, yeah, we love Thundercat. He's and then they're like, oh, no, I don't think
they
so.
asked
Also named-
recent artists. The recent artist was
Thundercat.
We
yeah.
also named Anderson .Paak too.
Yeah, and they were like, who? And we were like, do you guys listen to music?
You're right. How long does your
Right.
Yeah, what are you paying
right.
attention
And
to?
so Maestro suggested, okay, what about I Was Made to Love Her, the Shaka Khan version, and then they were like, okay, that's perfect. So
Because we were already doing the song.
yeah, and so what I love about my husband is he's such a man of principles.
Most definitely. Integrity.
And, yes, and
Integrity.
it's like, you know what,
You can tell right away.
if we're going to go on, there has to be a song that we believe in. And we actually made the song where Zahara sings about us.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
like
was the
telling
girlfriend.
them about their love story.
Yeah, so when we turned it around that way, it personalized it for us, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, and I mean, the children weren't starstruck when we did the AGT audition. It was just fun. Like we
Normal.
went out there. It was like another gig, and it was interesting. It was just the whole filming of the show, where I'm not going to get into it. Just I don't want to get in trouble, but it was just we had a lot of fun, and we were laughing a lot, and we met Terry Crews. Didn't you guys know that?
That was really cool.
We love Terry Crews.
When
Terry
they had
Crews
us
is
go
off
in
the
that
chain.
little meeting room for the interview, I didn't know we were gonna go see him. So
Yeah.
when I first saw him, I was like,
And then we were all looking at his.
yeah. They cut the interview short because the entire time during that interview, I was doing this.
Yeah, you were just like, it's Terry.
Terry Crews is a beautiful man. He's
Yeah.
a beautiful
Yes.
brother.
Yes.
There's nothing phony about him. You
No.
can tell there's something very special about
Even
him.
even my Taryn, who's doing the camera, he could even tell. Look at Taryn, man. He's going, yeah, you're right. So in we got a few more minutes to go. I wanted to ask you all, and you probably have a lot of favorite musicians that inspire you. You've named a few. I'm going to ask your dad first. No, I'm going to ask Mama C first, because ladies first always. I always believe that. So Mama C, who's you can name a multitude of artists, but who does influence you in your life?
Oh gosh, so many
I
names.
know there is. Give me the top 25, okay? No.
Well, Dionne Warwick. Dionne Warwick is, I mean, she influenced so many people.
Millions.
And songs weren't hits until she did it. And just her catalog. But Smokey Robinson. Maestro doesn't mean Smokey impression.
I could see that. I could see that.
And Jackie Wilson.
Jackie
I'm only naming it. There's so many.
Oh, there's
but
so many.
It's just right now. That's just what came in my heart. And I've been listening and watching a lot of live performances of Jackie Wilson.
Oh, he's Bob.
And-
Big feet.
Oh
Move,
my gosh, the
sing.
moves,
Yeah.
the looks, the style, the singing, and it's like he brought church to the people. And when you watch his live performances and people's reactions, you see people crying, screaming, and I always say that my husband, when he sings at church, I've seen him do to people what Jackie Wilson does to people. When my husband, no one's been able to really hear him let loose vocally unless you go to church.
Gotta go to church.
You gotta go to
Jones.
church. Jones Methodist. With us.
Jones
Coming up.
Methodist, 1975.
Post Street, San Francisco,
San Francisco,
94115.
where the pastor is Harold Gordon.
Harold Gordon. But anyways.
And the musician, minister of music, Ricardo Scales.
Ricardo Scales. But anyways, let me finish talking about you.
Okay, now, what is your some of your influence? I mean, you probably got as long as an arm, but just give me a few.
Well,
Because we have to go through all the kids.
on the various instruments, but Louis Armstrong's first with my mother. There's a tie right there because my mother was the first,
To introduce you.
and then Louis Armstrong because of his. I can't even say enough about that.
Oh,
Then we have to go to all the pioneers. Art Tatum. On
Parker.
on the drums. Oh my God,
Oh,
because
my
I played
goodness.
drums. Wow, that's a hard one.
That is
Art
hard.
Blakely.
Well, Blakey, even before Blakey,
there was-
Philly Joe Jones.
Philly Joe,
Oh man,
yeah.
he's tough. And look at they're all nodding their heads.
Yeah, I
what it is? I love
just
it.
studied
Yeah.
Philly Joe Jones. Yeah.
It's you.
Piano,
Get there. You can get there.
Thelonious Monk just says everything for me. Everything. Joe Sample,
Joe Sample.
who
yeah.
we have the same piano teachers, and we became really good friends from the Crusaders.
Of course. I have their albums.
Oh yeah.
The Crusaders.
Phineas,
They don't have them anymore. They don't have people.
Phineas Newborn. These are people who Phineas Newborn is kind of unsung. No one really talks about him. Piano wise, guitar wise, it would have to be Charlie Christensen. Charlie Christian.
Of course.
George Benson.
Just looked at George
God.
Benson yesterday. God,
Hendrix.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And you got to go horn.
Jeez. Horn.
We only have a limited time, and they only have 10 more minutes for the rest of the
Vocalists, I would have to say that goes back to my mother, Sam Cooke,
I was going to say
Nat
something.
Cole,
Yay.
Donny Hathaway,
Ooh.
and wow, that's hard because I'm
There's so
influenced,
many, like
I'm
your wife
influenced by
was
my
saying.
family, my children, more in recent times. I love People Bryson and Glenn Jones.
Jones.
But I'm influenced by them. There are things they do that triggers things in me, that influences the music sometimes when I'm composing. So, yeah.
You could, Papa, you could actually see it, and that's how I seen it. And then with Chad getting you, and then giving me this information to look at you guys are all pros. Don't ever leave music because it carries you forever. And what your dad and mom are doing, it's just outstanding. And that's what I feel with each and every one of you. You're all very special. Hopefully one day you guys will be making gigantic money if that's what it is. But you got to realize that it's just you have the spirit in you. Each of you do, and your mom and dad, you do. All of you have that, and I got that when I seen you on TV. Because you just broke out, man. I'm going like, I got it. And then when Chad said they're coming on you, we get them on your show. I said, and then when I seen your father walking, I said, I know that man. I know that. Yeah, he's So, who is your favorite? Give us some.
There's a lot.
I know.
So I'm gonna just start with
Give us 100.
So I don't think I would have been really serious about the guitar if I did not come across Wes Montgomery. That he is one of my favorite guitar players. Yeah, and for orchestration, I would say Donald Byrd. He is one of my favorites as well.
Your sister, you are saying the right things. I got to meet Wes Montgomery's nephew because he came up to me. Of all places, we're in Sears. All of a sudden, he goes, "Hey man,"
I love this.
He goes, "Man, hey dude, who are you?" I said, "Wow, who are you?" You know what I mean? He goes, "Dude, I like your style." And I go, "Good." So all of a sudden, we just jumped in. He goes, "You got to be a musician." I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Yeah." So we started talking. I go, "What is your last name? What are you?" And I introduced myself, Gregory Correa, and he goes, Jack. Or I think his name was Jack or John Montgomery. I go, John Montgomery. Could I ask you a question? I said, I've only heard that either in in jazz terms. He goes, "You mean West?" I said, "Yeah, Uncle West." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going Uncle West."
That's awesome.
But you just never know.
You never know.
You said it perfect. You said it perfectly. What you guys do as activists to the poor people, you never know who you come across that has been somewhere
Oh yeah.
up high, and then it's down there, and that's you're teaching your children that. That's beautiful. And they have music, which is the international. It's the world language. It's the world language. I'm gonna go to this drummer right here, man. Tell me who your influences are.
Well, for starters, for vocals, it would be my mama and my papa.
Real beautiful.
For drums, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I could have if my dad didn't help me with my drums, because he used to teach all of us, and he always used to come over and teach me a few things. That's how I learned about like keeping the time with the bass player, because he explained it. He explains that in super deep, super deep.
Yeah, being in the pocket.
Yeah, being in the pocket with the bass player. That's also where I learned that you can just play freely, but you also have to know what you're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to keep that backbone. And if you keep that, and you do, believe me, man, when I seen you do that breakdown, that was it. I said, these people got to get on the show quickly. Nile.
Okay, for my number one artist is obviously my dad.
Excellent.
I didn't even want to play I asked for a saxophone, he gave me the bass, but I do not regret it. It was the best instrument in my opinion. But my top 3 bass players are, well, they're not really like, in order,
Yeah, of course.
Larry Graham, James Jamerson,
The man himself.
Jaco Pastorius.
Oh my goodness.
They inspired thousands of influences.
Millions.
Oh, millions.
Yes.
Millions.
Millions.
So they inspired you, and you're going to inspire other people. You already have. I've been a musician all my life, and you've inspired me, and you guys, all of you have, in your own way, your mannerism and everything. Phoenix, tell me.
So I have to. If my top 4 would probably be my mom and dad, and then Thelonious Monk and Hazel Scott.
Thelonious Monk, man, you ever watch him play? You ever watch him how he plays? It's almost like a man on a high wire. You're doing, how when you ever go to a circus and you watch a person, you're just going, how does he do that? It's like Thelonious. That's the same thing. You're like, where do you get that tone, and where did he get that? How he could stride on that piano? Kiki.
A lot other than my parents for vocals and guitar. A lot of people would assume Jimi Hendrix. Yes, but for me, it's mostly Rosetta Tharpe and Memphis Minnie for me.
That's old school.
I love the way Rosetta plays.
Yes.
It's really satisfying. And her voice, I love
Rosetta was great. I'm glad they gave her a stamp years ago for that recognition. It's long. You know that yourself. I don't have to explain history. It's long overdue. A lot of this stuff is long overdue, and you're seeing hopefully more avenues open for everybody.
Chuck Berry said that's who started him and Little Richard.
I believe that.
Was Rosetta.
I believe that.
These women behind these guys are not being
like Mary Lou
given
Williams,
credit.
Lil Hardin, Martha Davis. Yeah.
So many. So as we're slowly going to the end, he has actually showed me 4 fingers already. So what I would like to ask you all is this. I hope we could do this again down the road a piece.
Yes,
Would you like to do that?
Yeah. But we'll bring instruments, and will you play with us?
That's because you're such a great. I don't know. You have a thing about you it's so
Well, we all connect.
connected.
It's like light beings.
You're so connected. There's a collective consciousness. There's a collective consciousness.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't get to tell you all of their areas of physics.
I know. Yeah. See,
you already
that's the whole thing. So when you guys all want to be physicists, or because music's that, it's just all mathematics, right? You have to have all your one through five or whatever, pentonics, scales, modes, all that stuff. So what would you like to be? What do you like to do for the world? Like what you were saying, or all of your physics. Tell me what you'd like to be.
I'm still gonna be like a community activist because that's just in the heart. That's just what I've been doing ever since my dad told me to get out from home, go out and be with the seniors, go help feed the homeless and everything. I really want to do fashion. That's one of the things that I want to get into and be able to apply that through physics. So yeah, that's just being able to apply fashion and physics, because physics is the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I've always loved photography. Yeah, and the first time I started is when I actually used a Samsung phone, and then I actually got my own camera. It's a Canon EOS 70D. Not to brag, I take some pretty good pictures.
Yeah, she does. She does. Yeah,
You're just telling the truth.
Yeah,
right?
she really does.
Confident. That's all.
Yeah, and they always thought
Because he doesn't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay. So the physics I love is nuclear physics, and I've always wanted to combine photography with nuclear physics.
Interesting.
Yes, that's what they said before.
Did they?
Okay, so the
It's
physics.
okay. We'll press that too. Yeah.
The physics that I wanted to be in is the physics of sound, which is acoustics. And besides that, I want to be a voice actor and an animator too.
All right. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know.
All right. So like I said, astrophysics, and then I also want to do graphic design and animation.
For me, my area of physics is optics, but I was thinking of becoming ever since I started listening to Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill, Public Enemy, Tupac, I was thinking of becoming a songwriter, because they write songs that matter, they actually mean something.
Yes. You know, as we get closer to what we have to normally do, is the close, and I could talk to you guys forever. I wish I'd call my wife up and say, hey, you got to have a dinner for 8. So I would like you one day to come to my home and just sit around and just relax,
That would be
jump
an
in the
honor.
pool, and the thing here is your children and you we're all representatives of each other.
That's right.
And if we have love and peace and comfort, we could all make a place better. And your family shows that, and that's what I feel all the time when I've seen you. And I've only known you briefly, in an hour. You're a gift to our world.
Thank you.
All of
so
you
much.
are a gift to the world. And I hope we become lifelong friends and family. And we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
We're going to do this
sure.
again. And so what we do, I'll go to camera number 2. And what we normally do is when we finish the show, we thank all the people that have watched Harmonics, and we give a little shout out of peace and love. And if you guys could throw your kisses out, they'll hold it for a little bit, and then.
Here we go, everybody.
Are you ready?
And
Peace and love to all of you.